All right, let's set the scene. Imagine you're on a plane, just cruising. The engine has that steady hum. Everything's smooth, calm, predictable. You know, it's that perfect flight you always hope for.
And then, bam! In an instant, everything changes. No announcement, no warning, just a sudden, violent shift. The plane just drops and then lurches back up. It's this gut-wrenching, unpredictable movement. It feels like the air itself has turned against you. And that fragile sense of control, yeah, it's completely gone.
The whole mood inside the cabin just flips. You hear the sharp rattle of the overhead bins, you see drinks spilling everywhere, and you can literally feel the collective gasp from everyone on board. It's just sudden chaos.
And with that chaos, you know what comes next, right? Fear. And it arrives fast. Hands that were just relaxed are now gripping the armrests with white knuckles. Eyes that were reading are now squeezed shut. Up at 30,000 feet, fear doesn't waste any time.
But here's the thing. In the middle of all this rising panic, there's an anomaly. A single point of absolute stillness in a cabin that's filled with anxiety.
He's this young kid sitting by the window, and he looks like he's all by himself, maybe 10, 11 years old. He's so small his feet don't even quite touch the floor. To everyone else, he's just a child, in a situation that's got grown adults terrified.
So as the plane is bucking and shaking and people all around him are visibly scared, this boy, he doesn't scream, he doesn't cry, he's just calm. His posture is relaxed, he's just looking out the window almost as if nothing unusual is happening at all.
So, after what feels like an eternity, the turbulence finally eases up. The plane stabilizes, and a man, sitting nearby, his voice still a little shaky, leans over to the boy. He just has to ask the question that is on everyone's mind.
The boy looks up at him, almost a little confused by the question, and he says so simply, "My daddy's the pilot." And with just those 4 words, the whole picture changes.
You see, the point here isn't about the shaking stopping. It's about the presence of trust. And that simple statement he made, well, it invites us to really break down what that means.
His calm didn't come because he was pretending the turbulence wasn't real. Oh no, he felt every single bump, just like everyone else. The difference was his perspective. His confidence wasn't in the machine, it was in the person flying it. This lays out the 2 mindsets perfectly, doesn't it? The passengers, they put their trust in their circumstances, in the smooth air, the steady plane. The second that disappeared, so did their peace. But the boy? His trust was totally rooted in a relationship. For him, the reality wasn't being defined by the shaking, but by who he knew was in control.
And this is where the story stops being about a flight and starts being about our lives. It makes you ask a pretty profound question. In the turbulence of your life, who's your pilot?
Because life's turbulence often comes without any warning, doesn't it? A sudden phone call from the doctor, an unexpected loss, a financial pressure that feels like it's crushing you, a relationship that just breaks. Or maybe it's just one of those long, quiet seasons where it feels like your prayers are just hitting the ceiling.
So how do we respond? You know, real faith isn't really tested when everything's going great. It's tested in those moments when our circumstances seem to scream the exact opposite of what we believe. Faith doesn't pretend the shaking isn't happening. What it does is, it reinterprets that shaking, because it knows who is in control.
This is such a critical idea to grab onto. Our first reaction when things get hard is to think something's gone wrong, that we've been left on our own. But this story points to a totally different truth. Difficulty is not proof that God has stepped away.
That little boy on the plane, he wasn't necessarily fearless. He was confident. And his confidence came from a place of complete surrender to his dad. It's such a powerful reminder that real peace isn't found in a life without any problems, but in trusting the one who is navigating us right through them. So this leaves us with a question to really think about. What in your life would look different right now? Your anxiety, your decisions, your hope for the future. What would change if you lived from a place of absolute trust that the pilot of your life is good and is in control, even in the middle of the shaking? The Renewal Project, true life stories of faith, testimonies, and divine transformation. Like and follow for more.